Let's make this episode a special one by just being ourselves and loving ourselves just the way we are. Let go. Hey, Charlamagne Tha God, this on The View, December 24th. It's a Democratic convention. Let's see if we get some action. Should be good.
For presidential race, and he's joining us now at the table. Please welcome back the author of the book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Charlamagne Tha God.
Hello, ladies.
Nice to have you back.
Thank you for having me back.
Okay, so my question is, after the election, you said that you were disappointed but optimistic. How are you feeling right now?
I feel the same way because, I mean, what's the other option?
Right.
You know, I'm a country boy from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, raised on a dirt road. So, you know, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, my grandmother was a Baptist. So I still believe in this higher power called God.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't believe in God when, you know, things go your way and not believe in God when things don't go your way. So at a time like this, you just got to remember your serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because we can't change nothing.
I love that. Yeah.
Especially the wisdom to know the difference, right?
We can't change anything.
Can't.
I mean, you know.
Not yet.
God put the powers in B, so he wanted Trump to be the president.
Well, 4 years from now, I guess.
Or two.
You never know.
But let me ask you this: Trump's campaign ads for some, they're saying they were very effective, and in one in particular ad, he used a clip of View from the Breakfast Club saying, "quote Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners." You say that line was taken out of context. I know it was. But it went on to become one of his most effective campaign ads. I'm also featured in one of his campaign ads.
You might have been 1 and 2.
Yeah. I was. He texted me and
Yours was
let
not
me know
taken out of
that.
context.
No.
No, it wasn't. But what were you actually saying in the clip? And can you please explain that? And how does it make you feel that the campaign used you like that?
Well, it's never good to be taken out of context, but I was explaining to my listeners how effective I thought the actual ad was. Like, you know, the ad was effective before I was in it. I was just sitting at home watching football, and I saw it, and I was like, whoa. And so I knew the immediate reaction was going to be, you know, people are going to say, hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that. So I was explaining that to my listeners. So, I mean, it never feels good to be taken out of context, but what I didn't like the most was that
How was he taken out of context?
they didn't do anything to combat it.
Right.
I would have ran the same ad and just said, Donald Trump, you know, what is it? Donald Trump supports, what was it?
He was the one that was supporting tax.
Yes, Donald Trump supports
sex
taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners. I would have ran the same ad because it was legislation under him as well. And you know what else I would have did if I was our campaign? Since Donald Trump used me, I would have used Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. Joe Rogan said he thought Donald Trump was, I think, unhinged was the quote.
Right.
You got to mix it up. You got to get dirty with these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to muddy the waters a little bit, cause confusion.
Yeah. Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical,
He lied.
etc., as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, you know, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, you know, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, you know, whether or not, you know, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, you know, nobody's above the law, but they were
Don't say they, because you are part of they.
speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, oh, you know, nobody's above the law, I respect, you know, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
It's a lie. She keep on coming in, don't want nobody to call it a lie. It's a lie. I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed his...
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
No, I'm going to tell you what I...
If you say you're not going to do it, and then you did it, by definition, that's a lie.
think.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And he did, and this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. Listen, they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
Not you.
Moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh no. By the way, I'm not mad.
Because it lied.
At him pardoning Hunter Biden.
But you sound like you're
No.
If I can get in on this, I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on.
I want to say, I agree with Biden. I would have goddamn pardoned my son too.
Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions
and
the impartiality of the Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. The same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. How we shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls? He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
has criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne Tha God.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more. But you're
none for Joe Biden. So Sleepy Joe.
missing my question. Okay. My question is.
She getting cut. My question
is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay? I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes, but when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
I'm an independent.
Yes, but that's
I think that's the best way to go.
But that's not a monolith.
Most people say they're independent Democrats.
Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I just point this out to you? The president has a pardon power,
you're ridiculous.
Right?
I didn't say you. You were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg. I would never. I said that. I just think that's ridiculous.
Think about it.
Give me
Yeah, you're ridiculous. Look at her. Getting kind of feisty here.
Think about it this way. just very quickly, can you reframe it in
now you go, her.
This way, and think about it maybe in this way. The president has the ultimate pardon power. Every president has done this, right?
Yeah.
And so what people are saying is that Joe Biden is now a liar, as opposed to Joe Biden is someone who now knows that the person that is going to be in the White House is on a revenge tour and his son is on an enemies list. And so he is using his rightful power, his rightful political power.
If I say, hey, I'm not going to the White House, and then I go to the White House, I lie.
Power to pardon his son. Now, is that a lie, or is that perhaps being pragmatic, having a change of opinion, as opposed to the president-elect who has lied almost 40,000 times during his first term?
Well, I can't say what it is because I'm not in
the moral high ground? Like, what's the faux outrage?
Neither one of them have the moral high ground. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. But when you are a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican, you refuse to be objective about the other party. Like, it's like we're watching them do something wrong, but we're making excuses for it. We watch Republicans do things wrong and they make excuses for it. Why can't we just all be objective and call it what it is?
Because it's not balanced.
It's not the same.
But wait, there's more. We gotta go. We're coming right back. We'll be right back.
Got some music in there. I don't know how far this go with him on there. Let me see. Hold on. Because I wasn't ready for this.
Others you don't. And
might
you've said
skip
that
something.
people like Nikki Haley and Gavin Newsom, who very likely may run for president in the future, are doing something that all candidates should be doing. What do you mean by that?
Well, 2028 is going to be another presidential election, and I think everybody needs to start campaigning now. And the way they start campaigning now is by making real connections with people, right? I think, Gavin Newsom has been doing a phenomenal job in the media because he goes on Fox News.
Yeah.
He did the debate with Ron DeSantis. He has his own podcast, Politicking, with Marshawn Lynch, and everything he does, he's able to make a story. Like, I think last week he was in California, in the counties that flipped red for Trump, and he was just down there speaking to them, and that became news. And I think when you have
Like the shirt.
your own podcast and when you're not afraid to go in so-called enemy territory, you make a real connection with people. And it's the same thing with somebody like Nikki Haley. She got a radio show right now, so now she's able to engage this audience every single week,
Who's
right?
really good at that? Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, Pete is
He's
great.
phenomenal at that.
Pete is a politician who comes to Breakfast Club when he doesn't need us.
Yeah.
He comes to Breakfast Club just to make a connection with people. He'll be there next week. Actually, he's coming next week.
He's great.
But that's what I mean. Like, people have to start making real connections with folks. Like, we talked about everybody going on the podcast, like Trump going on all the podcasts this election season. What's the next level of that? People having their own podcast. Everybody else is controlling their own narrative, so why wouldn't politicians? Athletes got their own podcast. Entertainers, comedians. Why shouldn't politicians?
Absolutely.
So everybody who wants to run in 2028, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you better start a podcast or get some type of radio show to make a real connection with people.
To them. Because now it's, remember, Obama reached out to people through the internet. Now the new evolution is the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Charlamagne, you were a hot
And not y'all ass.
topic for us a few weeks ago after you were on CNN with Anderson Cooper and called out cable news networks for normalizing Trump. Now that Trump has won, you say that you don't think cable news will ever truly cover him honestly again. Why?
Well, not even just cable news, no network. Nobody, because they didn't do it before, so why would they do it now? They're scared to death.
What
He's the
about
president
us?
of the United States
What
of
about
America.
us?
Have you watched The View?
Yeah.
Well, let's
Miss Legal Note.
be honest. Sonny, I saw you have to apologize a couple times last week, so somebody's coming with some notes from downstairs.
Not apologizing. I'm making a legal note as an attorney of law.
Because we have a petty president, our incoming,
Yes.
that is going to be very litigious.
Who is litigious, but that doesn't mean that's not a
we
mistake.
check ourselves.
But what
here through
does not
ABC News.
normalizing him look like? Does that mean, because oftentimes the dilemma for me is to just not put him anywhere? Is that the...
No,
Like,
I don't
what
think
is
that.
what is
I
the
think
not
that-
normalizing?
I think you should just honestly call it how you see it. Like, for example, right?
And have legal notes.
Yes. But like, when I called Donald Trump a fascist, I wasn't calling him that because of something I heard Democrats say. I was calling him that because of the things that were coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, and why are you not still calling him that?
When he was saying things like, he wants to
you mean you would
suspend the
think that for
Constitution or
yourself?
overthrow the results of an
God damn.
election, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay. I'm going to stop it right there. I think that's it for Charlamagne. The genie. Yeah, that's it. All right. That's Charlamagne on The View, December 4th. He switched up quite a bit from what he was saying. He was calling him a fascist. He's not saying that anymore. He was calling him a threat to society. He's not saying that anymore. Now he's saying he's with God and God is going to take control of it. But God could have been taking control of it at the beginning. So when you were saying all those things, you should have been thinking about God anyway. Whoopi, no hope. Nobody else on The View, no hope. They don't understand that most of Americans made their decision and they are in the few. And they don't understand why the majority of Americans chose the Trumpster. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Love yourself. Treat yourself. Don't beat yourself. Love yourself. Holla.